Next we have Gary Kish speaking on G2Z through financial stability. And those of you who did a workshop on Tuesday might have met Gary already. He's been Director of Development for Oregon Humane Society for 21 years. And during that time he's implemented a diverse array of fundraising programs that now provide 2/3 of their annual operating budget. During his tenure, the donor base has grown from 2,500 contributors to more than 60,000, which I can't even, it's a concept that's just amazing. While OHS's annual budget has grown by a factor of 20 to nearly 10 million. In a volunteer capacity, Gary provides fundraising advice to various Oregon conservation NFPs and is a founding board member of the Crag Law Centre, a public interest law firm that supports community efforts to sustain the Northwest's natural legacy. So welcome, Gary.
Thanks, Nell. Hello, everyone. I'll try to take you down this home stretch to the afternoon tea. I'll try to keep it interesting for you. So part of financial stability is keeping your supporters engaged. And I was asked to provide some nuts and bolts tactics to do this and some lessons that you can take home with you. I think what I'm going to present can be used by any organization, regardless of whether you have a bricks and mortar shelter or not, or whether you have a very large budget or maybe no budget at all. I think you can use these tactics. This is going to be real text heavy, so a bit of a warning to those of you that are text intolerant. You may not want to stay for this. If you have any health issues with text, I see Mia's already left, so, right. All these slides are available to the conference participants. So I think where you would get the most value perhaps out of this is you don't have to worry about scribbling these down. They're available to you. But I think what might work for you is to think creatively. And I'm going to put these ideas up here. There's a lot of them. There's going to be 50. I'm not going to speak about each and every one. But you'll have this list of 50. But I think where you might really gain some benefit here is if you think creatively, and maybe what I put up here doesn't work quite for you, but maybe it spurs some creative thinking about what might work for your organization. And that's what you need to write down so that you don't forget it. I think if you can get one good idea out of this 30-minute presentation, your time will have been well spent. And with that, let's launch into this. So what this is going to look like is I'm going to provide this list of 50 ways to engage your supporters with your organization. And then after that, the last few minutes, I'm going to go down the list of 10 ways to lose your supporters. So if you want to lose your supporters, be sure to stick around for that list. Let's see here. Nell, what do we... Let's see what happens here. Nothing. All right. Nothing there. Is this which one? That one? Let's see. Number 2. There we are. So again, this is about engaging your supporters. Too often we only communicate with donors when we want something, and usually that's money. Donors want, especially if you want to sustain that relationship, donors want more. They want to be engaged with your organization. They want to be involved with your organization. They want to understand what your organization is doing. So let's look at some of these tactics about how we can engage those supporters. Ask them to craft a blog entry. Mia was talking about the blog. There may be some opportunities for that. Ask them to donate a new clicker to the organization. Oh, look at this. Okay. How about number 2? Invite them to participate in some sort of focus group. A new initiative that you're doing. All different topics where you could convene a focus group of your supporters. you might have some other ideas. There's been a lot of talk in these rooms today about collaboration. So maybe you can convene a focus group about collaborative efforts. Right. Does it have to be pointed a certain way? Looks like. Is there a lag? Is there a lag? Because I just keep pressing it. Okay. How about some of you are engaged in your legislative or parliamentary procedures here? What about having your donors come to your organization and have a discussion about stances that you may be taking on political issues? Inviting them to sit on a task force that chooses an award recipient or judges a contest. That's a nice low-risk way of engaging supporters, and they usually really enjoy that. Testimonials, number 5. This is really a powerful strategy. Having donors share with other donors why they support you. This might appear in your magazine, it could appear on a blog or website, but testimonials, and I'll admit, myself and my organization don't use these to as strong of advantage as we could. And it's been really telling when we have recently used testimonials, we've gotten a lot of feedback. So it's a tried and true and very powerful strategy. How about for some of your donors, especially those that are engaged, these would probably be major donors, what about featuring them in your publication, whether it's the donor of the month, donor of the quarter, whatever the period is? How many of you do that? How many of you do occasionally do a donor profile in your publication? I got one, just one, two. All right, so the opposite sides of the rooms are the leaders, you in the middle. This is a good strategy you might want to take a look at. Having the donors come early to an event, a little special treatment. All right, I promised text. All right, so we're bringing in the A-team now. Go ahead and give it another click. Treat your donors special when you're having various events. Give them maybe some preferred parking or an extra bottle of wine. No. Click. Click. Number 12. This has been really popular. It's a lot of fun to do. Sponsoring a photography or writing contest and then asking the donors to judge submissions. If you do that annually, you'll have the donors coming to you and saying, hey, when is the photo contest? I really want to come to that. It's a easy way of engaging a lot of donors. It's low risk. It's non-controversial. People really enjoy being asked for their opinions. How about sending an email or message to your key people as soon as you have some important information to share? Maybe you're doing something in your parliament, or maybe you've got some new initiative like Getting to Zero. How about number 15, inviting on a road trip to visit other shelters in other parts of the region so that they can see the work that they're doing? Perhaps if they see things at those shelters that they really like, they will fund those improvements, assuming they're improvements, at your shelter. 16, asking donors to help create an album, scrapbook, or archives of an organization. How many of your organizations have been in existence for, let's say, More than 30 years. Just a show of hands, more than 30 years? How about more than 75 years? A few. Um, I think what we often find is that we're so focused on what we're doing now and going ahead that so often the historical information is lost. And some of your longtime donors are all too happy to help provide some of that historical information, build out the archives of the organization. It's a nice way to engage them, and you may learn things that have been completely forgotten by the organization. Click, and another. How about asking them to host a gathering of other donors? The other donors may be thanked or recognized or just socialize. And click. Number 20 is another real powerful strategy where you actually are using donors to support, to thank and acknowledge other donors. Very powerful strategy. It's sort of that peer-to-peer relationship. They're networking with other people that are supporting your organization. 21. This sounds fun. Be part of a tasting committee. Help select the food and beverage. Let's see. Let's get down to 26. Just in the interest of time. Again, all these slides are available to you. How about just engaging some volunteers to help with things around the shelter? You need some landscaping, some painting. Some may have special skills or interests in these areas. We use a couple supporters to creatively decorate some of the colony rooms. It's something that they love doing and really engages them. Number 28, inviting your supporters in to meet the key program staff in those program areas that they're most interested in. This is so simple, and just the donors love this. They get to meet the people that are doing the work. So often the organization is represented by a front person, and it's those program people that are doing the work. So whether they're coming in to visit with the veterinarian or cruelty investigators, your supporters will usually jump at the opportunity to meet your key personnel. And another click, please. And another. And another. 33, sending out to your key supporters news from either trade publications or you can send them press releases. All your organizations ought to be doing press releases, and it's so simple to either send hard copies of those or emailed attachments to your donors. We may think that everyone sees everything in the newspaper, but it's not the case. And again, this is an engagement tactic. It shows the donor that you are thinking about them. How are we doing on time? Great. Another one, please. 37 is really sort of fun, asking long-term supporters to help identify people in your organizational photos. So often these photos get taken, shows a big gathering of people. 20 years down the road, you're going, who are those people? Yours can help identify those. I wish Mia was here for number 40. All right, so all that Pinterest stuff and Facebook. So what do your supporters think about that? You might solicit their input. Again, these are all ways to keep your supporters engaged with your organization in ways other than writing a check. Let's go down to 43. I expect that most of your organizations at one time or another have speakers of interest, and one of the things you can do is record those presentations and then send them out to your donors. either posting it on YouTube with links or doing short videos and sending them on to your donors. It is one thing that the web has made very easy, sharing this type of video information. 44, so often what donors really want is to know what's going on in the organization. You know, we have the magazine and so forth, but what they're really, your key donors are really interested in what's really happening behind the scenes, what decisions are being made, what direction is the organization going in, what's the future look like, what issues are confronting the organization. So sharing that kind of insider information, some organizations are very uncomfortable with it. You don't have to share everything, but letting your key people know and sharing that information really has an impact. 45, something we just started doing. One of our staff came up with this idea. We've got some donors with 25, 30, 40-year relationships. And actually what we're doing is we are taping these histories. We have a series of interview questions, and then these histories are being put into our historical archives. We're keeping a copy, and we actually have a statewide historical organization that is archiving the copies as well. 46, once you get to know these supporters, this is I think the only solicitation I've got in here, but once you get to know these supporters, you may find that they have various things that would make a suitable gift to you. So you might want to ask them to actually make this gift of something that they have in abundance. I think it also, along with the solicitation, it shares with the supporter that you're paying attention and you remember that they've got this. You know, maybe it's a sports memorabilia collection or something, and they just don't need it taking up space anymore. So the conversation goes on for a few years, and you finally say, well, you know, how about that collection of those sporting medals or whatever it is? And I would say what I'm not mentioning in the slide is that you're going to sell these for cash. These are gifts to support your organization. You're not just moving it from their closet into your closet. Number 47, again, sharing your future plans. People really want to know where the organization is headed. People want to know what is next. They want to be part of your success. They want to know where you're taking the organization. In many of these tactics, you can engage volunteers to leverage your efforts. We've touched on volunteers throughout this conference, and you just cannot make too much use of volunteers. Oftentimes, organizations seem to be reluctant, but they are key to your success. In the last two tactics that work very well, holding small group lunches so that they can socialize with other donors. It's simple to do. You can have the executive director or program staff give a few-minute talk. They are there. They get to see who are the other supporters. It's a real sharing meeting. Finally, you may want to consider doing a state of the organization meeting for your supporters. I made this slide before I realized that a lot of your organizations have general annual meetings that may take the place of this, but maybe in your general meetings you still want to provide this state of the organization address. Does anyone else have any other really good ideas to share with the group for donor engagement? Okay. Well, I hope you're able to use at least one of these ideas. And on the Saturday presentation, where we have a full 3 hours, I will be going into some detail about additional fundraising strategies, donor stewardship, and planned giving. How are we doing on time? 5 minutes. Great. So I gave you some ideas, hopefully, about what to do. Now here's some things not to do. If you donors are difficult and expensive to get. It's really easy to fumble and lose them. And this sort of focuses on your written communication with your supporters. once someone has given you a gift, the ball's in your court. Are you going to secure the relationship, or are you going to fumble it away? So here's 10 common mistakes. I don't think this content will also be on the website for the participants. And I'm not going to go through all 10. I think I'm going to go through the worst of the sins here. And there's not corresponding slides, so we can just leave it on this slide. Okay. First deadly mistake, not acknowledging every gift that's made to your organization. If you don't care about your supporters, why should they care about you? Number 2, a long delay in acknowledging your supporters. Timeliness matters. You should really work on promptly thanking each contribution that comes in. If you are forced to prioritize, for whatever the reason, then I would encourage you to thank the larger gifts and gifts that have heavy emotional weight, such as memorial gifts. Especially with these memorial gifts, you should really strive for a 24-hour turnaround. The third worst mistake you can make is misspelling the donor's name. It seems obvious, too often it happens. Sloppy work really reflects poorly on your organization. If it just shows a lack of attention, and nobody wants to support sloppy work. Number 5, in your communications, and I'm thinking your acknowledgement letters, using overused, tired languages. We gratefully acknowledge receipt of your gift received on blah, blah, blah. Keep it fresh. You may have language that you're compelled to use by law, such as the amount of the gift and the date it was received. But after that, keep it fresh. Update the information. We change our acknowledgement letters every month, and after we do the gift acknowledgement part, the body of it really becomes a story about what their gift is supporting, what we're accomplishing, and we just use it like a mini newsletter. We just, the 3 paragraphs in the middle of the page are all about what's happening at the organization. It seems to work really well. I can't tell you the number of organizations I've supported over the years where, year after year after year, it's just the same form receipt coming out to people. So keep it fresh. Another huge mistake you can make is sometimes gifts come with special restrictions, or the donor wants something done, like sending an acknowledgement to that person, or maybe the gift is restricted to a certain program. You must echo back what the donor told you. So in the acknowledgement letter, you tell them, yes, we have sent the acknowledgement on to so-and-so, or, we have applied your gift to whatever the program is. You've got to let the donor know that you heard their instructions and you followed the instructions. A smaller mistake is not including staff contact information. What if there's something to be corrected? What if the donor wants more information? What if they want to do more for you? How are they going to contact you if you don't have staff information on that letter? So include your contact information. And the last one that I'll mention here is only thanking some of your donors. This sort of ties into number 1. I said acknowledge every gift. For some reason, so often organizations only thank donors above a certain amount of money, or I don't know why they do it that way. But too often, nonprofits feel that donors at a certain level just don't warrant the time and expense. So often, it's that donor who's been a $10 donor over the years who is then leaving you an estate gift. You've really just got to take care of all your donors. Obviously, your larger donors, you're going to pay more focus to, but every donor deserves to be properly acknowledged. So if you want to retain your donors and build stronger relationships, don't forget your manners.